if you go to Taco Bell at 3 a.m, this is what you're gonna get. Yeah,
that clip is already coming into play.
Yes, already. So there you go.
Stop.
What happened?
The thing went on.
Well, how did that turn on?
I don't know. The fart sound.
The fart sound turned Amazon on?
I think the fart sound turned on my Echo.
What the hell?
I don't know. It turned on.
What are you doing, Jeff Bezos? What are you into?
Bezos, he's listening to fart sounds.
He's listening to our fart sounds. Oh, my God.
I changed the trigger word to fart. I got to fart at it now. I don't know what happened.
That's really awkward. You're going to have to... Excuse me.
Excuse me. How can I help you?
You may need some bowel.
Do you want me to automatically order you Pepto-Bismol? I don't know why. I don't know why I'm talking to it solely through farts now.
It actually, you fart into it.
Fart once for yes and twice for no.
No. Actually, you fart into the device, and then Amazon can determine what medicine you need.
Oh, right. Wow. That's next level right there. Or what you've been eating and what you want to reorder. I detect Cheetos. Would you like to subscribe?
Would you like a bulk order of Cheetos?
Oh, yes, please.
Cheetos ordered.
That story took a turn.
Yeah.
Cheetos ordered.
Okay. All right. There you go. The latest from Jeff Bezos and Amazon.
It's amazing technology, I tell you.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, I remembered to make the transition properly. Here we go. We are live. It is time to go. Welcome. It is the Crispy Compact Communiqué, episode 6. I am Rich Liebig.
I'm Michael Costanzo.
And somehow, some way, we are still doing the Crispy Noodle podcast in some way, shape, or form in the middle of the coronavirus quarantine. Thank you for tuning in. It's been another crazy week of news, even though we're still on lockdown here in Philadelphia, and for I'd say the majority of people, I still think most of them are in some sort of lockdown.
Yeah.
But Mike, how you doing? How you handling this crazy quarantine?
I mean, I'm good. This is the thing, is the weeks are starting to blend together now.
Yes.
You know, finally, like 2 months into it, it's like there's only so many video games and TV shows and movies you can watch before you start to go a little stir crazy. And it's like, I mean, I have no problem with entertaining myself, but I'm finally starting to feel the pressure of like not being able to like go out and like do stuff, like even just run down to like the corner store or something, you know?
Yeah, I just went into a Giant a couple days ago. And it's
so stressful.
But for me, it's been a while since I actually went in, and it's just crazy. Like everything is all warped, wrapped in plastic, and you got to go all the aisles now, or you have to go down the one way, whatever the arrows tell you they are. And I was a little disappointed. All the pasta was sold out. I don't know. Someone is buying a whole lot of pasta.
Well, you know why? Because you can keep it for a while.
Yeah.
But grocery shopping was already kind of stressful. Now it's like even more stressful.
Yeah.
Because the crowds are, it's not that the stores are crowded. It's just that the crowds act so differently now.
Yes.
You know, it's like, well, I'm sure everybody listening has probably experienced it at some point by this point.
Yep.
So we don't need to go into it, but.
Yep. Yeah. So we can provide a little bit of relief and distraction during this crazy quarantine time, whatever we're going to call this.
Quarantine.
Man, 2020 really has just been a chaos of sheer epic proportion.
It doesn't stop, because it started with what was it? The Australian wildfires, which everybody forgot about.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like a thing now.
Yeah, everybody forgot about it. Then it was the pandemic, and that's been going on for a while now. Then they announced murder hornets were going to be a
Yeah.
thing. Uh,
Well,
murder,
we got lucky on that. The latest
right?
report from University of Penn says it's probably going to stick to the Pacific Northwest. So sorry,
Yeah,
Seattle and Oregon, you're on your own.
but you know what? It's like the crazy headlines never stop.
Yeah.
Like even though we will personally
Oh, wait until we get the sports, Mike.
Oh, I know.
I can't wait for the second sports headline we're going to cover.
I know it's going to get wild, and then we're not going to talk about it. But I'll mention Axl Rose got into a fight with politicians on Twitter. Like this is the world that we live in now.
Literally, it's worse than Whose Line Is It Anyway? You really could pull X pop star, X rock star, verb does something.
Right.
Another
it's like
foreign
it's like Mad
leader.
Libs.
Yeah.
It's like insert the pop culture reference, a natural disaster and a dystopian sci-fi theme, and you have 2020.
Yeah, you have a no. Not only that, you have a valid headline for something that CNN is reporting this year.
Yeah,
it has been ridiculous. So yeah, we're gonna get into all that. But first, I know you love to talk about football, so I figured to get Mike happy and ready to go, let's go over some football news. And the big one is that the NFL schedules came out today, which is, that's always fun. It's good to look forward to the future. Eagles schedule came out. All the team schedules came out. To me, the big takeaway in this is that the NFL, as of right now, they're reacting to the virus and everything, but in terms of what they're seeing down the road, they think this is going to happen on the regular schedule. Everything is gonna, maybe OTAs will be affected, but they came out with a full 4-game preseason for all the teams, full 16 games in 17 weeks for the whole season. Do you think that's reasonable? Do you think this is the way to go for the NFL?
I mean, what would you have them do otherwise? You know what I mean? Because the NFL season, the actual preseason doesn't start until the first week of August. Right. So they still have like a good 2.5 months. They might reevaluate. Maybe the NFL teams are always wanting to skip the preseason. So if things are really that dire, maybe they just skip the preseason and roll straight into the regular season. That gives them until September. So it's still like 3.5 months away. So they're hoping that a lot of states will be able to transition to Pennsylvania is now like half yellow, half red. Most states will maybe transition to like the yellow status, or, maybe the less populated states will transition to green or whatever it is. So they're hedging their bets that things will slowly begin to open up. And it does look like it's going that way. But this doesn't surprise me that the NFL will continue with business as usual, because I feel like they're loving this pandemic.
Well, it hit at the perfect time for them.
They had the highest draft viewership ever.
But yeah, because there was nothing else you could watch. It was perfect. Right.
So the NFL's just rubbing their hands together, like, let's go, pandemic. They're like, they're loving this. They made the schedule release like an actual event.
Yeah.
They are capitalizing on this in spades. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they would go about business as usual. They're a business juggernaut. It's the largest sport in America.
So yeah, I that aspect doesn't shock me. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think though there's going to have to be, a little bit of worry when it comes to OTAs and the first steps to start the season.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's where I think we're gonna run into some issues here, because either we're gonna have a new way to do OTAs and practices, or we're gonna have to affect the preseason, because the time that the team has to learn everything and to come together and be a team is going to be shortened by this pandemic. That's the part that's really going to be affected. So with that in mind, will teams be willing to maybe postpone OTAs, or find a different way to do it? Or will teams be more likely to sacrifice a preseason game or two? That's where I think we're going to have the pulling of the strings.
It's not teams sacrificing the preseason, it's the NFL sacrificing the preseason, because the NFL is the one that stands to profit the most from it. Yeah. Right? It's always the players versus the league. The players are like, we want 2 games. The NFL is like, let's make it 5 because they want to sell as many tickets as possible. So really the issue is, does the NFL think they can make money on it? If they think yes, that there's going to be enough people in the stands to warrant having preseason games, they're going to have their preseason games. If by August, a lot of states are still in red or yellow status, I think that they might cut the preseason short. I can't foresee them delaying the regular season.
Plan that was floated around where it was going to be the season would start in October, and everybody would have to play 16 games straight, no bye week. Do you think something like that would work?
I mean, if worse comes to worse, I guess they could make it work. I don't like the idea of not having a bye week. It's such a physical, tough game. And the NFL, they're all about protecting players now, supposedly. So this is like flies completely in the face of protecting players by removing that bye week, by forcing them to play 16 straight games, on an already shortened OTA and training camp schedule. So I either think it's business as usual, or I think the very most maybe cut out the preseason. I can't foresee something as big as the NFL giving up its standard regular season. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
Okay.
But I just don't see, the NFL is so like, it's like a juggernaut, it just steamrolls anything in its path, Goodell's like, what's brain damage because of concussions? Didn't the NFL try to like suppress those studies? Like they don't care. They don't care. It's strictly business for them. So if they have an opportunity to do business as usual, they're going to do business as usual.
Okay.
I know that was very pessimistic.
Here's something else too. Another backup plan that's been floated around. The Dolphins have come up with an interesting plan where they would sell. This was a week or two ago when we were really in the height of worry and everything.
Right.
That if it got bad, their ultimate backup plan would be they would only sell 15,000 tickets instead of 60,000 tickets, so that people could watch the game, but they would be spread out because you'd only have a fourth of the crowd.
Right. I think that's probably going to be the happy middle ground right there, is limiting the number of tickets that are sold. I think they might have to do that anyway. It might be mandated by the state's governments at that point. You know what I mean? They might not have a say in it, because I know already, I don't know all the specifics, but I know like Pennsylvania specifically, some counties are in that yellow phase or going to be entering that yellow phase. Yeah. If nobody knows what I'm talking about, they just came out with
Pennsylvania has update. Pennsylvania has a red, yellow, green indicator.
Some of the counties are going to be semi-opening up again,
which is yellow,
but they have restrictions on things like how many people can gather in one spot at a time, and it's capped at like 20, I think.
Yeah, it's still not.
So that applies to sporting events, I assume. You can't pack the link with 70,000 people and be like, oh yeah, it's under 20. Don't worry, So, regardless of what the NFL wants to do, there's still government policy and procedure that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
So the Dolphins plan, that might just be the NFL season, continue as normal in terms of schedule, but there might be dramatic cutbacks in terms of crowd size and ticket sales, which interesting could affect next year's cap, because teams are going to be making less money. The NFL makes less money. Maybe the cap space doesn't go up. It's just, I've been reading a lot about people worrying that the Eagles are going to be really, high above the cap next year. Because it's all about dollars and cents, Rich.
Oh yeah, of course. This is America.
That's right.
So, There you go. Yeah, you know what? If it does though bring solace, it is looking towards the future, and at least the NFL is saying we want things to proceed as normal. So there is a strong hope that as we progress eventually to the summer and the end of summer and the fall, things will turn around. Maybe.
Well, I'll say this that gives me somewhat reason to pause. That I had theater tickets in DC for the middle of September, and I just got an email that those shows are being canceled. So, I mean, that doesn't bode well that theaters are canceling shows out in the middle of September already, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like part of me is like, oh, the NFL will be fine. They're going to be business as usual. And then the other part's like, all right, they're already canceling stuff that was scheduled for mid-September. So that's the state that we're in right now.
Yeah. So positivity.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to be positive, and then I ended on a down note. How about let's talk about something positive? Let's talk about. Do you want to actually dive into the Eagles' schedule? Do we want to talk about the actual?
Okay, yeah. What do you want to talk about with the Eagles' schedule?
Let's just go over it like we normally do. Isn't this is our normal routine whenever we have the actual podcast? Well, you don't care.
Nah, I mean,
we changed you, Rick.
So no.
Changed you.
Here's the thing. We've got plenty of time. We need to stretch out all the sports topics that we can over the next couple of weeks. All right. So let's leave that to the back burner. All right.
Okay. Because there's another story you really want to get to.
Because when a gem like this comes along,
see, I knew I couldn't steer you away from this. You had to talk about this.
When a gem like this news story comes along, you don't punt it away. You have to act on this. All right.
Okay,
this
go ahead.
Such a ridiculous story. I read it on my Twitter feed in the morning, and it just woke me up, and I haven't come down since. This is the most.
You've been going on and on about it.
This is the most ridiculous story I've ever heard. All right, so for those who don't know, Earl Thomas, he's a safety for the Ravens. He was part of the Seahawks when they won the Super Bowl. Legion of Boom.
Yep.
He's just kind of had a bad cloud following him since that Super Bowl win, because obviously the next year they made the Super Bowl but then lost to the Patriots in that horrible horrible finish. Then he goes to finish out his career, and he had problems with the Seahawks with a potential contract, and the Seahawks never came to an agreement on a contract with him. And on his last play as a Seattle Seahawk, he gets hurt out for the season, and on the ambulance ride,
the cart.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the word. I was
ambulance ride,
whatever the fuck you call it. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. The cart. Thank you. On the cart, he notoriously gives the finger to Pete Carroll, and all this. Yeah. So it was just he's always had a bad attitude.
He's been having a rough go of it.
Yeah. So then he gets signed by the Ravens in the offseason as part of a decent defense, but the Ravens go 14-2, and what do they have to show for it? They get knocked out in the first game. So
as it happens.
Not good there.
Nope.
And then things get worse this offseason as the police confirm a incident that happened with Earl Thomas and his wife. I gotta try and bullet this as much as I can. Earl Thomas said that he was gonna go out at night with his brother.
Right.
Wife says, "All right, go ahead, have fun." Earl Thomas, brother, go out. What they are actually doing though is going to a prostitute's house. And that
wasn't in the story I read.
And they are having some orgy fun at this establishment. In the meantime, the wife goes to her Snapchat and using the Snapchat map. Sounds so old trying to explain this. I don't know this. This is so weird.
She goes into the Snapchats.
I called it the Snap Map trying to explain this today to Rachel.
The Snap Map?
I have no idea.
What is it? I don't know.
On Snapchat, there's a function where you can, I think it's on like the member profile, like if you want to look into more information about your friends.
Yeah.
There's a thing you push, and it pulls up the map.
Oh
And
God, that sounds terrible.
I sound so old. I jumped right to 80. I sound so old trying to explain this. Anyway, the point is with Snapchat, apparently if you give the permission on your user account, it can track you, and then other people can see physically where you are on a map on Snapchat. And using this function, the wife turns into a private detective and sees that there is a girl in the same vicinity where Earl Thomas is located on the Snapchat map. So she gets pissed off, runs and goes get a gun. And initially, she's going to try and scare everybody with it.
Right.
So she empties the clip, but what she doesn't know is that in a lot of these guns, the moment that the clip is loaded, a bullet goes into the chamber right away.
Yeah.
So whether she wants to admit it or not, she's got a loaded gun. That's not up for debate. She has a loaded gun. And she goes down to the address provided by this Snapchat map and busts in. Oh, wait. I forgot. I got to get the actual quote because this was reported on the news story. She actually says, as she bursts through the door with a gun, like this seems like something from a movie. She says, quote, "I got something for all you hoes."
It's like a bad action movie.
Yes. And
like kicks down the door, and that's her catchphrase or something.
Right. And she's waving a gun in the air that she thinks is not loaded, but it is loaded.
Oh, man.
All to the tune of seeing Earl Thomas and his brother in this orgy. Like, you could not have... Mike, I said this to you. This is more like an odd news story than it is a sports story.
You texted me early this morning about this story, and here's the thing. I had read like the ESPN version where it was like,
where they clean it up.
Yeah, there was a domestic dispute between Earl Thomas.
No, you got to get the TMZ story.
Yeah, well, that's what I did. After you texted me and you told me all these details, I was like, that's not in the version of the story I read. So I'm like the good old TMZ. I'm like, oh, there's all the juicy details. Yeah. So where do the Ravens go from here? Because now they have this guy on their roster. I mean, do you keep him? Do you just ride through this? I mean, this is going to sound really bad, but what he did was only wrong in terms of his personal relationship with his wife.
Right? What about the whole brothers thing?
That's not... Well, hold on. Well,
that doesn't bother you a little bit?
But there's no crimes.
Not a crime, but it's just weird.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean the Ravens are going to be like, oh, that was weird. We don't want to win a Super Bowl. You're cut. You know?
But he's nearing the end of his career anyway.
He's 30. He's got time left near the end of his career. He's an all-pro safety. So what are you suggesting, that the Ravens cut him?
Cut him. People have been cut for
he's a Pro Bowl
all-pro
safety.
People have been cut. Players have been cut for weirder reasons than this. This is some grade A. What are you doing? You are an NFL player. You are making money. What are you doing?
It is a really boneheaded move that does damage the image of the team. And it puts them in a really tricky situation with now he's going to have all these legal things that he has to deal with.
Also, wait until the team gets together. I heard, I don't know if this is true. This is kind of a rumor of a rumor, but I heard there are a couple people that they're not liking this. I heard one of them's Mark Ingram. He's like, what, you know?
Well, yeah, because you don't want that type of attitude in your locker room.
Yeah.
You don't want the distraction. So yes, I guess there is a problem, but I don't think it's cut worthy. He didn't, it's going to sound really bad, but he didn't commit, as far as I know, he didn't commit any crimes. He wasn't arrested for anything. You know,
his wife was.
His wife, well, because she kicked in a door with a loaded gun and held it to his head. So yeah, that's a crime. What Earl Thomas did is a distraction. It's wrong in terms of his personal relationship. It damages the image of the team. It maybe damages his relationship with his teammates. Maybe that's like a minor disciplinary action from the Ravens. But the Ravens, who were so close, 14-2, do you really think that a coach like Harbaugh, that a team like the Ravens is going to be like, nah, that's fine. This is the team that was like, Ray Lewis, double homicide? Nah, that's fine. Let's go win a Super Bowl. Do you really think they're going to be like Earl Thomas had some relations with some, ladies of the night? I don't know if they were prostitutes or if they were just other, friends or whatever. Do you think they're going to be like, that's a cuttable offense? We don't want an all-pro talent on our team because he was having extramarital affairs.
I guess the Ravens would be one of those teams that in their history they have been known to turn the other eye.
Oh yeah, there's teams like the Steelers and the Ravens and the Cowboys. They're like, give us all your criminals.
But personally, I would say get the hell out of here. You are a cyclone of trouble. Like that.
Everywhere he's gone, there seems to have been trouble. Right, there was trouble in Seattle near the end there, contract disputes, very tense moments with the coach and his team flipping off the fans, flipping off the sideline, it just seems like there's been, like you said, this cloud that surrounded him the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
and, I not to sound like, I feel like now I feel like I've been using this as just like a sword to just poke at Earl Thomas, that like I don't like him and stuff. But it just seems like he just has this a cloud or negative energy around him. It just I don't know. I would not want somebody like that on my team. To me, this would be a cuttable offense.
So here's the real question is, can he still play? Because that's what the Ravens are going to look at first and foremost. Yeah. And he's coming off of a Pro Bowl season, right? He's a 3-time All-Pro. He's a 6-time Pro Bowler. He's only 30. They're not going to cut him. I mean, he would have to actually get arrested for something for them to cut him. But this is not, I don't see the Ravens reacting to this as viewing it as a cuttable offense.
Yeah, they probably won't, but I would. This is just too wacky. I don't like any part of this story.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge distraction, and they saw how he fell out with Seattle, so now they must be wondering, how's this going to play out in Baltimore now?
I think a good rule of thumb is if I hear something about you that seems like it would be featured in the Florida segment of our odd news, then this isn't a good character trait.
How about if you get featured in TMZ? You're not doing something right.
Yeah, that's probably more like it. Okay, there you go.
You got all that off your chest.
I had to.
Does that feel better?
I had to. When I saw that headline this morning,
you were very hype about it.
You
text me in all caps. I was like, okay.
Like when you get to a point where either the news seems like it should be in the odd news or the news headline is fake and it's actually real, it scares the crap out of you.
That's the new norm now in 2020.
Yeah.
I wake up and read headlines like murder hornets coming to the U.S. And it's like this weird, it's just this weird perpetual dystopian state of like new events happening. And Earl Thomas is just the next thing.
Yeah. So there you go. Mike is apparently just numb now to whatever news story comes out.
Yeah. I've been completely desensitized.
Okay. Well,
between Game of Thrones, odd news, and now what has been the first 4.25 months of May, I'm just completely numb to the world.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to something that's a little more familiar and something that, I think is going to be a little bit more soothing, but it still could.
Positive.
Yeah.
Positive.
I like that. It was Star Wars Day on Monday, May the 4th. May the 4th be with everybody.
And also with you.
Lift up your lightsabers.
Sing to the mountain. No.
Where's Nana?
I know, right? That's a deep cut. Yeah. God, go back into the archives for that one, folks.
Yeah. Okay, so it was Star Wars Day. We released our rankings that came out. I think mostly everybody enjoyed them. I noticed though a couple of other websites were doing a similar thing. They were doing their own rankings.
Yep.
I don't know.
You text me very upset. Let me take this.
Yeah.
You text me very upset. You seemed very dismayed because you couldn't grapple with the fact that the sequel trilogy seems to have gotten a lot of critical praise that you think it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, I saw a couple of websites that did a similar Star Wars ranking, their own version of the Star Wars ranking.
Right.
And a couple of them were willing to put The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in like the top 5. And I do not see that at all, including one, I think it was Ranker. Off the top of my head, I forget which website it was. One of them put The Last Jedi as the second best Star Wars movie, and that shocked me to my core. And I find that really just, I can't believe that. I guess I guess my general question was, am I being too critical of the sequel trilogy? Because apparently there's a whole section that loved the sequel trilogy.
Honestly, I think, well, and this is not just you, it's any big time fan of, I feel like it's the genre, sci-fi fantasy. The genre invites hypercritical fans, because I was that way with like things like Game of Thrones and like The Hobbit for Lord of the Rings, you know, very critical of these things, and the Harry Potter books and stuff like that. I think that fans of sci-fi and fantasy genre pieces tend to be very critical and hold their favorite franchises very close to their hearts. So at least what I've observed is that the problem with judging the Star Wars movies is every bit of discourse that I've seen has always been, you know, how does it do or not do what the previous movies did? You know, you have to separate them and look at them as standalone films almost, if you want to judge them purely on the merit of the film. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
How it fits into Star Wars in a larger scope, that's, I feel, a different conversation sometimes. Because what happened was the conversation with The Force Awakens was it was too similar. And then The Last Jedi was it was too different. And then Rise of Skywalker was, oh my God, all the nostalgia, it's my favorite thing ever. So Star Wars fans are not viewing them as movies. They're viewing them as like
pieces of a puzzle, like, or something.
Right. Like they're not viewing them as individual movies. They're viewing them as, well, because it's part of a series. So they're partly right. But also they're getting too tied up in that fact, right? Mm-hmm. Too similar, too different. Like view it for what it's worth first and then talk about its place in the larger puzzle, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's how I sort of approach it personally. Is that fair?
I think that's fair. Yeah. And I know you're a relatively, I know you have some critiques, but you're for the most part, you're a defender of the Disney era Star Wars.
I am. I liked most of them except for Solo and Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Rise of Skywalker
was a bad film. Like, remove the Star Wars from it. It was just a bad movie.
Yeah. I couldn't, MacGuffin after MacGuffin after MacGuffin. Like, okay.
And it was like, it was so much cheese. You know when you get a cheesesteak, you get Cheese Whiz?
And it's all cheese.
Just all over the place.
And it's not, there's no meat.
That was Rise of Skywalker. It was like, get the meat out of it. I just want to roll just ladled with Cheese Whiz. I'm like, he catches the lightsaber. Like, come on now. I was like, oh my God. My eyes were rolling like bowling balls.
Yeah. So, that was one of the things that I don't know, that shook me a little bit. Another thing that was interesting talking about all these Star Wars rankings, I know this is going to be out of nowhere, but apparently one of the biggest Star Wars fans is conservative pundit Ben Shapiro. And he actually did.
Okay.
He actually, I know this is throwing everybody off guard. He actually did a full-blown video explaining his list that he came up with on Star Wars. And of course I had to watch it because it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars.
And while we had some disagreement, me and him, we had some disagreements on like, I think it was Solo and The Last Jedi. He didn't like The Last Jedi at all. He actually has a very similar top 5 to what I had. And I feel a little bit justified, and I feel a little bit better now of trying to force Revenge of the Sith as high as I can on the list. It didn't go that high. It made it to 7th on our Crispy Noodle list. But personally, I put that like 4th and 5th. To me, it's the original trilogy that I don't think anything really cracks the original trilogy.
Right.
Then you've got, like, to me, movies that are really good and are almost in par with them. And to me, it's Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. That's my top 5. And Ben
Revenge
Shapiro
of the Sith
had a very similar one. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'm not the only one in this camp.
No, I mean, you're definitely not the only one in that camp. Revenge of the Sith is the best of the prequels. And there's a lot to like about that movie. I mean, there's a lot to not like about it, but I mean, it had a lot of strong moments. For me, one of my favorite scenes of all time is, of course, the final lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
It's awesome. You know, it's badass.
You were my brother. You know,
you're my brother.
It was like it's so good. You know, it was a lot of fun. And Rogue One, you know, just the whole like last 15 minutes of that movie is just like constant, like breathtaking, awe-inspiring.
Also, something I mentioned in the article that we released, which is on the crispynoodle.com, go check it out. It really, Rogue One is one of the darkest films I've ever seen Disney put out.
Yeah.
Like, it actually is shocking when you step back and you're like, oh my God, yeah, Disney actually,
like, everybody dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Whoops.
Whoops.
But yeah.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. It doesn't shy away from the fact that, yeah, it was a suicide mission that they had these guys going on, and it doesn't shy away from it. Doesn't like pull any weird punches like, oh, they escaped at the last moment, you know, like an escape craft came and swooped down and picked them up, you know, nonsense. Like, no, it's like this is it. This is final. This is
the end.
this is the sacrifice. Yeah. It was one of those rare cases where a prequel to a story, you already know the outcome, but I think it actually worked. Yeah. You know, very rarely do prequels work because it removes all the stakes because you know what's going to happen. But it did a good job of raising the stakes, even though you knew the outcome.
Yeah.
I will say this about Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I do think they're really solid movies. I think The Force Awakens accomplished a near impossible task, you know, in bridging the gap between old and new fans, in charting a new course while paying homage to the past. It had to do a lot. Like, it had a huge task on its plate. And I think it accomplished most of it, which is why I view it so favorably. And The Last Jedi, you take out the casino subplot, that's an awesome movie. You know?
Yep. Do you want me to? Was that my cue? Do you want me to jump in?
No, I'm just making points because I know The Last Jedi is one of your favorites.
I do like The Last Jedi, but The Force Awakens, I just find it too.
It's too similar for you.
Similar to like if I'm gonna watch New Hope, I'm gonna watch New Hope. I'm not gonna watch The Force Awakens. And I hate to say it, but
it's a fair critique.
The movies that I go back to rewatch are the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy and Rogue One. I really don't go back to the sequel.
Do not pull this revisionist history BS on me and start trying to tell me that the prequels are good, Rich.
Okay, not.
Oh my God!
Absolutely not the Phantom Menace. Absolutely, I'm not. I will never defend the Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones is not that bad.
Oh no, Rich, you've been on the subreddit prequel memes far too much.
I'm just saying, Attack of the Clones. If everyone collectively could get over the horrible romance subplot, which I agree is atrocious.
There's a lot more wrong with it.
If you take that part out, Attack of the Clones is not that bad. Give it another shot. I'm just saying. And then you have Revenge of the Sith, which I love.
Revenge of the Sith is good. Revenge of the Sith is good.
So
the problem with Attack of the Clones is that the romance subplot is the plot.
Substitute it with more of the Obi-Wan,
but it wasn't
going to Camino and all that stuff.
But that's not the movie. The movie is the romance between Padme and Anakin.
just put it on the back burner. That matter of fact, actually, here's what you do. Here's what you do. Whenever those scenes come up, go get a beer.
Go get a beer. So you're drunk by the end of it.
Yeah, it works out.
So that's why you like the movie, because you're drunk every single time by the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I provide a working way you can enjoy Attack of the Clones. You're welcome, Internet.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
Yes, that's what you do.
Go.
All right. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed some sort of Star Wars movie on May the 4th. And if you didn't, do it this weekend. And I encourage you to watch the original trilogy. I watched Empire Strikes Back.
That's your favorite.
Yeah, I love Empire Strikes Back. It's so good. So there you go. That's what we did. Did you watch a Star Wars movie? Did you do anything?
I actually didn't get a chance to watch a Star Wars movie. They were on in the background, but I didn't like sit down and like devote any time to physically watching it. But they were showing movies. It was like all week long.
Yeah,
they had like
they'll probably still have it this weekend and stuff.
Yeah, it was like from like Thursday through Monday. It was just like this constant marathon on, I forget, it was like TNT or some channel.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay.
yeah.
So there you go. Star Wars Day in the books. Hopefully you got a chance to enjoy it. All right. Now, after all of that, now let's get to the actual dedicated odd news. It's time for actual odd news with our odd news nugget here in the Crispy Compact Communiqué.
All right. What do you got for us this week?
All right. The story this week, we're going to Ohio.
Oh, not Florida.
No, but still.
Okay. Ohio is still a weird place.
Nothing good comes out of Ohio.
No, nothing good comes out of
Joe
Ohio.
Burrow, I'm sorry. He's going to waste his career with the Bengals. They're not going to go anywhere.
I mean, that was already a given, wasn't it?
I'm going to say it right now. The Joe Burrow's first 4 years are going to be a waste.
Ooh. Bold prediction.
Yeah. Okay, so you ready for our odd news story of the week here, Mike?
Yeah, what do you got?
An Ohio woman called 911 late Saturday evening to report that, quote, my pussy is on fire and that the fire department needs to put it out with their hose.
Wow.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Help.
So we're dropping all the filters on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
On time.
Yeah.
Okay.
This it's late now. It's 10 o'clock.
It's late now.
All the kids are in bed.
Is she writing a bad porno? What's happening here?
Yeah.
It's just like, wow, wow, wow. It's like,
wow, that was really good, Mike.
I mean,
that was good. Do you practice the bass guitar?
I am a big time bass player. Yeah, absolutely.
So 50-year-old Katrina Morgan. 50.
Okay. Oh, wow.
50.
50. Hey, age is just an abstract barrier there.
Yeah, she wants to have some fun.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
So she called 911 and told the police dispatcher her request. Then she hung up. Then the police dispatcher called her back. Morgan reiterated the same exact thing and said that you need to come down. My vagina is on fire. I just realized something, by the way. With us being visual, I can show you the mugshot here. There she is.
Oh my god.
Perfect. She needs just some firefighters to come down and help her out.
Oh yeah. They're very eager to do that.
So instead of firefighters, she got cops, unfortunately. Cops
probably work for her too.
She's not picky.
No, she just wants a man in uniform is what it is.
Yeah. Cops arrived and confronted her. She was highly intoxicated, according to police reports.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yep. She also was having trouble walking, including several times when she walked right into walls.
That whole intoxicated thing.
Man, those walls, they come out of nowhere.
They just spring up out of you, right?
If you don't have quality firefighters, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
That's why you need their axes. You need to chop down the walls so there's no walls.
So there's no walls jumping in her path.
Right. And then you put the fire out in her panties. So When cops then told her she was going to be under arrest for misusing the 911 system, she then fought the cops. Smart move. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that always makes an arrest better is when you fight the cops.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Yeah,
Right.
that always ends well for the criminal.
Hey, wait a minute. You're not in a firefighter uniform.
What did she think was going to happen?
Yeah, did she think like a porno was going to come to life?
Right.
Like, is this how it actually works?
That's how it works. She had cameras set up and everything. She thought she was going to be a star.
Is this how the sex works?
How the sex works.
I just call them up?
Just call them up.
After some time, they eventually got her to the ground and handcuffed her. She was then placed in the rear of the police cruiser. She's booked on multiple counts, including disrupting public service and making false alarms and resisting arrest.
Yep.
And the disrupting public service is a felony in Ohio.
Ooh.
So unfortunately, she's got more trouble.
Yeah, you can't be randomly calling 911 with that nonsense. You know.
She just really wanted.
Also, aren't there like other numbers you can call? Like, aren't
yeah.
there like?
Shouldn't there be a direct number to the firehouse that you could have went through?
No, but I mean, like specifically for the purposes that she specifically needed.
Has she ever heard of Tinder?
I mean, like, she has other outlets.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a 911 emergency.
Well, to her it is.
To her,
she's on
it is,
fire.
Yeah. She was burning up.
Yeah, her crotch is burning, apparently.
Something she caught, probably.
or apparently lack thereof, that because she really wanted to have some action. She wanted to have some fun. But yeah, there you go. True story. Just Ohio, and
you know what it is? It's quarantine.
Yeah,
that's what it is. She's just going crazy. She's going stir crazy.
She's probably been locked up for the last 6 weeks.
Doing nothing but drinking, apparently.
Yeah.
Because she's walking into walls.
Going through her stash, walking in the walls.
You know what's bad when you're walking in the walls?
If you're walking into more than 2 walls a day, I would consider stopping the drink. I think that might be a good sign.
If you're walking into multiple walls. Also, what were these cops doing where they're just like watching her just bump, bump, bump into the wall, you know? Aren't they...
The one guy is like stopping the other cop, like,
it's like
over under 2 walls. Over under. Let's take some bets.
It's like watching a fly try to fly out a window. You know?
Time it. Let's see how much you do. But there you go. True story there. Yeah, people are going crazy. There you go.
Yeah, they are.
Call the fire department for some booty.
Call the fire department.
Yep. So there you go. That is my odd news nugget for this week. Before we end the show, our segment that we like to do to keep you sane. Hopefully you don't get as insane as that Ohio woman.
Don't do that, people.
But instead, we have apocalypse activities we would like to recommend. Something to do that you might not, maybe, or something that you may not have thought of, or maybe a reminder of something to do. Mike, what do you want to recommend to people? What should they keep an eye out for?
Well, what I've been doing, I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but I've been replaying The Last of Us. Did I talk about that?
Yeah, that's appropriate.
Yeah,
especially
I know
with the second trailer came out, Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a little inappropriate to play a game about a pandemic during a pandemic, but
it's fine.
It's a lot of fun.
I'm playing. Technically, I'm in the same boat. I'm playing Death Stranding, which is a similar concept.
It's fun to explore those ideas while you're in the midst of it. Gives you a little bit of perspective. But focusing specifically on the game, the trailer for the second one just came out. It looks amazing, and I've been replaying the first one to get ready for it. And man, I'm telling you, if you have not played this game, I'm playing it on the PlayStation 3. It was remastered for the PlayStation 4. It still looks incredible. Like, I'm going through it, and this is I think it's nearly 8 years old at this point, and it still looks amazing and plays amazing, and it's so stressful in a good way. You know, I always joke about it's that game. I've joked about this with you and my brother about how it's a game where you've never been more excited to find half a pair of scissors,
Yeah.
you know, in order to make like a weapon or a shiv or something. So I've been going through that. That's been a lot of fun. I've also been catching up on Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah. Has the season ended yet, or is it still
Season came to an end.
Okay. Yeah. So now that it's over, everybody go and watch the whole season. You can binge watch it. I've been slowly making my way through it. You know, 1 or 2 episodes a night. Man, it is so good. Just as, like you always say, just as good, if not better than Breaking Bad.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's better than Breaking Bad.
Like this season, especially, you know, I'm only, I think, like 4 or 5 episodes in, maybe 6. It's really getting good.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
So a dual recommendation there from both of us.
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing to pass the time? What activities have you been up to?
Yeah, so I might have mentioned this before on the podcast. I'm not sure.
All the weeks blend together now.
Yeah, that's true. I've been following a channel called My Life in Gaming. Okay. They do a really a really top tier production quality to their videos. I kind of fell off their bandwagon for a little bit, so it's good. I've got like a catalog of their videos to go over.
Right.
They really do a good job of explaining the actual the actual step-by-step things that you need to know in terms of setting up a massive gaming collection and stuff, which I find really interesting.
Okay.
Because the 2 guys on the show, they both have like 19 or 20 video game systems, and they connect it all up into like one single huge monstrosity.
That's so like all going into one TV.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
With like a channel splitter or whatever.
Oh, it's more
advanced than that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, you have to watch it. It's crazy. But the reason why I want to bring this up is because they also just have a new video. It's a long video. It's like 40 to 45 minutes. But it goes into everything you need to know about the whole 4K craze.
Yeah.
And what, in terms of how you set up your own TV system, what you need to know if you do go down the line of setting up your own 4K system. Right. To really get your 4K system working, because it's a thing where a lot of people think that they have true 4K, but they really don't.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of stuff is like upscaled.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. See, that's the thing. Yeah, a lot of people think they have 4K, but they truly don't. It's usually stuff that's 1080p upscaled to 4K, which is actually different. You're not getting true 4K. So it's really interesting. There's a 40-minute video that explains how 4K is actually different and how you appropriately set up a gaming system to support 4K, and it's really interesting. They do a great job. The production quality is like a TV show. I'm amazed at you know, the fact that these are just 2 guys, right? You know, and they have just like a insane production quality to their videos. So
that's cool. It's like gaming and tech and like how to all in one.
Yeah. And also when they do videos on their retro gaming, they use like the actual music cues from the games. So like it brings you back. Like they had a Nintendo 64 episode, and it was like I heard a music cue from like the start menu of Diddy Kong Racing. I was like, oh my god, yeah, it's right, Diddy Kong Racing. Yeah, that was a good game.
It just snaps you back, right?
Yeah. So it's good. There's like moments like that. Like, you know that these are gamers, that they grew up on it. They have like those little inside tidbits. It's fantastic. So if you really want to waste time, that's probably the only drawback, is their episodes are pretty substantial. They're like they can range anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes.
Oh, that's all right.
But other than that, it's worth it, especially if you ever down the line want to set up your own crazy
monster gaming setup.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. So
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, there's some things.
Keep
you can
everybody
still
busy.
Yeah, there are ways to not go
times.
insane. There are ways that you don't need to call 911 to occupy your time.
Yes, preferably.
Yeah, and not walk into walls because you're so drunk. Okay, there you go. That's our show for this week. If you like what you heard or saw, because this is a stream that we've got going, make sure that you are hooked up on all the channels. Obviously, this is Facebook Live, but we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram. We're also individually on Twitter. If you're on the Facebook Live feed, you can see down below our Twitter handles. I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig.
I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And also, by the way, this comes out also as the audio podcast. So maybe if you're going to work soon, you can use us as a actual audio podcast. You can listen to us in the car. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all the podcast apps.
That's right. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe to the Crispy Noodle podcast on the podcast service of your choice.
That's right. But for right now, I'm running out of water. I'm starting to cough on my own here, just for lack of water here.
Yeah, well, we did a lot of talking straight through. Normally we take breaks during these shows. We're old now.
Yeah, right?
Not like we were 7 years ago.
I can't describe Snapchat. I don't know what they're doing.
That was the oldest you've ever sounded, Rich.
Yes, I don't know what they're doing on the snappers.
The snap map. The snap map.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, though, is that's even more than I know, so I can't criticize. I tried, when you were talking about it, I tried to go on my phone and go to Snapchat to see if I could find it, and I couldn't, and I just gave up. That's how old I am. I'm like, I can't figure this thing out.
Yeah, so
soon I'm gonna have bifocals and the enlarged, text on the phone, and I'm gonna tap it like this. Why do old people always tap the phone like this?
Right. Yeah, with only the one
do the
finger
index
going.
Finger.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. We're starting to mime. This isn't good. We need to wrap it up. So we'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué. Also, leave a comment if you want us to talk about something in particular, or you have a question you want us to talk about. We will gladly take all submissions, so let us know. All right, but for right now, that will do it. We'll see you guys later.
See you guys.